the suite that guests were warned not to use. The warning was subtle, almost polite. No prohibition, no explanation, just a suggestion that lingered longer than it should have. To understand why a hotel would actively discourage guests from using one of its most expensive suites, we have to return to a moment when luxury stopped being about indulgence and started becoming about restraint. Because when everything's available, the only remaining signal of power is what you choose not to touch. This hotel understood that access without discipline reveals more than denial ever could. From the outside, the suite appeared flawless. Perfect placement, absolute privacy, impeccable design. It was mentioned briefly during check-in, not as a highlight, but as a footnote, accompanied by a pause that carried meaning. Guests were told it was available, but also told that most people preferred not to use it. That ambiguity was intentional. The reveal began with curiosity. Guests asked why. Staff smiled and deflected. Some said it was intense. Others said it wasn't for everyone. No one ever said not allowed. The suite existed in a gray zone between invitation and caution, and that gray zone did the work. Guests who insisted on using it did so confidently at first. They framed the choice as entitlement, as if cost alone justified access. Others hesitated. They asked follow-up questions. They reconsidered. The hotel never intervened. It only watched. What made the suite different was not its size or features. It was its isolation. No ambient cues. No staff presence unless requested. No external rhythm imposed. The space offered total autonomy, without interruption. For some, this felt empowering. For others, it felt exposed. The hotel understood something most places avoid acknowledging. Total freedom amplifies whatever you bring into it. The suite did not soften experience. It intensified it. Guests who entered expecting indulgence encountered silence, space, and reflection without buffer. There was nothing to distract, nothing to perform for, nothing to push against. The room gave nothing back. It simply existed, unresponsive and complete. The warning had never been about safety. It was about readiness. This suite did not filter by wealth. It filtered by self-regulation. And once guests realized that the hotel was not discouraging use, but observing response, the suite became something else entirely. Not a room, a mirror. And the moment someone chose whether to step inside, the hotel already knew exactly how to treat them afterward. Because in this place, the most revealing choice was not what you were offered, but what you felt compelled to accept. And that was only the beginning of what the suite revealed. As guests began using the suite despite the warning, the hotel observed a clear divergence in experience, because the space did not respond uniformly to everyone, and that inconsistency revealed more about the guests in the room itself. Some entered and felt immediate calm, as if the absence of stimulation created relief. Others felt unease almost instantly, and urged to leave, to fill the silence, to reassert control. The reveal deepened through duration. Guests who stayed briefly often left unsettled, unable to articulate why. Those who stayed longer experienced something more intense. Without external cues, time lost structure. Days felt compressed. Thoughts sharpened. The suite removed all friction except the internal kind. There were no interruptions here. No scheduled service. No ambient reassurance. Guests had to request everything consciously. Meals arrived only when asked. Lighting changed only when adjusted. Silence remained until broken intentionally. For some, this autonomy felt luxurious. For others, it felt demanding. The suite did not guide behavior. It waited for it. The hotel never followed up. It never asked how the stay was. It never recommended a second night. What mattered was not satisfaction. It was response. Guests who struggled inside the suite often compensated elsewhere. They sought stimulation in common areas. They demanded interaction. They reasserted presence. Meanwhile, those who adapted moved quietly afterward, requiring less, asking less, and blending more seamlessly into the hotel's rhythm. The suite acted as a pressure chamber. It intensified whatever regulation a guest brought with them. The buildup intensified when repeat guests made different choices. Some never requested the suite again. Others returned to it deliberately, spacing visits carefully, treating the room as something to be entered only when prepared. The warning now made sense. This was not a space for escape. It was a space for exposure. The conflict was no longer about curiosity. It was about capacity. Could you remain composed in total autonomy? Could you tolerate a room that offered no feedback, no validation, no resistance? The suite was not dangerous. It was honest, and honesty, when unbuffered, forces decisions no one can make for you. The emotional pressure was building, because a place that amplifies inner state eventually demands reckoning. And that reckoning was coming next. The conflict surfaced when guests began realizing that the suite was not simply revealing discomfort, but accelerating it. Because isolation without structure has a way of pulling unresolved tensions forward in time, collapsing weeks of avoidance into hours of exposure. What felt manageable elsewhere became immediate here. The buildup intensified as patterns emerged. Guests who entered the suite carrying unresolved decisions found themselves restless, pacing the space, unable to settle. Sleep fragmented, thoughts looped, silence pressed inward. The room offered no distraction to dilute the pressure. It did not soothe, it clarified. Others experienced a different reaction. Those who arrived prepared, regulated, and internally quiet found the suite almost meditative. Time slowed, focus sharpened. The absence of interruption felt expansive rather than threatening. The same environment produced radically different outcomes, and that contrast mattered. Staff noticed the after effects more than the experience itself. Guests who struggled in the suite emerged seeking noise, interaction, reassurance. They stayed longer in common spaces. They filled silence aggressively. Meanwhile, guests who adapted required less. They moved efficiently. They seemed to need the hotel less, not more. The suite had created a divide without labeling it. The emotional pressure peaked when guests understood the deeper implication. This room was not testing tolerance for luxury. It was testing tolerance for autonomy. Total freedom removes excuses. Without constraints, there's no one to blame, no system to resist, only choice. The suite forced guests to confront how much of their comfort depends on structure imposed by others. Remove that structure, and whatever remains becomes unavoidable. The hotel had created a space where responsibility could not be externalized. Some guests chose never to enter again. Others requested it carefully, only at specific moments in their lives. The conflict was no longer about the suite itself. It was about readiness. Could you sit alone with your thoughts without needing feedback? Could you occupy a space that did not respond to you? The suite did not punish failure. It revealed capacity. And that revelation was shaping how guests were treated everywhere else in the hotel, quietly and without explanation. The climax was approaching, because a system that reveals capacity must eventually show what capacity earns. And the suite was about to do exactly that. The climax arrived when guests stopped asking what the suite was meant for. They understood it instead. Those who remained inside long enough felt the shift first. The pressure eased, not because the room softened, but because resistance disappeared. The suite did not change. The guest did. Once composure replaced reaction, the space became expansive rather than oppressive. Silence no longer pressed inward. It widened. Time stopped collapsing. Thoughts stopped looping. The room revealed its true function only after regulation arrived. The realization settled quietly. This suite was not about isolation. It was about sovereignty. Total autonomy is not comfort. It is responsibility without escape. The hotel had never warned guests to protect them. It warned them to prepare them. Those who passed through the suite successfully moved differently afterward. They required less guidance, fewer explanations, more trust. The hotel responded in kind. Access widened. Friction dissolved. Nothing was announced, yet everything changed. The resolution revealed the deeper architecture of the experience. The suite was not a luxury feature. It was a calibration chamber. Guests left carrying a sharper awareness of how much external structure they normally rely on. Offices felt louder. Homes felt busier. Ordinary rooms felt crowded. The suite had stripped away buffers and shown what remained. This hotel proved something few places dare to admit. Freedom is not indulgence. It is exposure. By offering a space that refused to manage guests, it revealed who could manage themselves. And in doing so, It filtered trust without rules, interviews, or confrontation. The sweet that guests were warned not to use was never dangerous. It was precise. And once you understand that, you realize the most revealing spaces in life are not the ones that restrict you, but the ones that give you nothing to push against. So, what do you think? Are we repeating the same mistake again? The sweet